There's one thing I want you to do for me.
What?
Come here.
What?
Win. Win.
What are we waiting for? Take it!
Welcome into Edge of Philly Sports. I'm Big Al.
And I'm Joe Shear.
I'm Freddie Birds.
And it's Wednesday night, another 8:30, and a lot of Philly sports to talk about. It is actually one of the few times where Philly sports is on the down because there's actually today and tomorrow, there is no chance of the major four sports of having any action.
I checked FanDuel earlier just to see if there was anything, any type of action out there for tonight. Not that I was looking for any. I was just curious with everything, kind of at a halt right now. Just what could be going on tonight if people wanted to watch a game?
Soccer, maybe?
There was WNBA, I believe.
Okay.
I was just going to say, is there union?
It's not union. I think there's like some World Cup
Sixers
or something.
Summer League isn't even on tonight.
Yeah. But like I'm saying, of the major four sports, this is the only time of the year where there'll be nothing going on no matter what. No playoff games, no championship games, no regular season games. But there's still plenty to talk about, plenty of Philly sports news to get into. I remind you guys, it's brought by Sherry'sTickets.com, CherryInjuryLaw.com, Dolan'sBar.com, as well as PhillySportsTrips.com. But we're going to jump into it because we are we're less than 2 weeks away from training camp for the Philadelphia Eagles. It's kind of felt like there's not been much to talk about because they went home. Like they did their OTAs and then it was quiet time, right? Everybody kind of went their separate way. And then here we are, kind of just waited with bated breath to see if this Eagles team, can have the same magic, if not hopefully a little better than they did last year. And there's a lot of training camp to talk about coming up. And there's going to be a lot of positional people are going to be fighting for that position, and we're going to go over one of those tonight. We're going to be talking about the right guard. But before we get into that, I want to talk to you guys something. Joe, you posted something about a week ago now, I think it is. It was C.J. Gardner-Johnson talking about the Super Bowl, the slippery. I feel like it's coming back up again. I've been hearing it a lot.
Mitches in the comments.
Yeah, they're still commenting on it. Like this is one of the longest posts that people are still significantly commenting on. And, the major sense of the comments are, it's over. Both teams had to play on the same field, yada, 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 all this stuff. But it's like, it's coming out. The NFL is blaming the grass guys. The grass guys are blaming the NFL guys. People are blaming the NFL.
The NFL are blaming the players.
Blaming the players now.
And the cleats.
And the equipment managers and everything else under the sun. What do you, end all be all? I know we talked about it. I think we all try to, squash it and move on and just look towards the future. But Freddie Burns, what is your end-all be-all on that situation?
I'm so over it. We lost. We sound like the 49ers. Stop. We lost the game. It's over. Whatever the rules were, we can't change it. And crying about it ain't going to make any difference. We had a lead. We blew that lead. It is what it is. Our pass rush would have been better. Did it give an advantage to the Chiefs? Sure. But I just think it was a very close game. We dropped some balls, made some errors at the end, had a holding penalty on the pass interference. They still could have won the football game. It's not like it was a complete mess. So I'm in the beginning, we could talk about it. The field was a mess, but we're 13 days from training camp. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, you're on another team. Just shut up. Let's just be done with it.
He probably knows that was his last shot of gaining something when it comes to plaffs and Super Bowl.
You're not on the Campbell train?
No. That is why
they almost made it last year.
They were an improved team. I'll give you that.
They were 1-6 or something, and then they made a run and ended up 500 or one game.
They also, for whatever reason, went in panic mode and got rid of a majority of their guys who contributed to their team last year. Jamal Williams is gone. DeAndre Swift is now whatever that
running
he's
backs.
now an Eagle.
Grab them on trees.
Yeah, in the first
Running
round,
backs
apparently.
grab them on trees.
What was the tight end's name? Hawkinson? TJ Hawkinson.
Hawkinson.
They traded him to Minnesota. I
Wouldn't
mean,
you say
there's
he's
three
a
big offensive guy
overrated
people.
dude, though? Like he was supposed to be like really good, and he's just meh.
Meh.
I mean,
think
I'm
they
not
keep the core.
huge on him, but yeah,
But
I get it.
they also go and get a running back in the first round.
Jamar Gibbs, which
Right,
is a
yeah.
terrible pick. You're right.
Right,
yeah.
yeah,
I hate
absolutely.
drafting
So they
running backs in
do
the first round.
Detroit Lion type thing. Yes, I agree. Very improved. They're kind of the darling story of the NFL last year. Like the most, you're going to give them
They
most.
made
improved.
another bonehead pick, and then it was Campbell, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Are they related?" I
Yeah,
forget.
yeah,
Right.
it's all getting related.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was another tight end. So that's probably why they got rid of Hawkinson.
Yeah.
But it was way too early. And
Oh,
they were like,
absolutely.
They like his grit.
Yeah.
They like the cut of his jib.
Like I think Maurer was still there from Notre Dame. Like the good tight ends are still there, and they took him. But yeah, you're probably right. I kind of like Campbell. I watch Hard Knocks, and now I'm all
Like
I'm
eating
like
kneecaps,
kind of like
Fred.
slightly rooting for the Lions on the back end.
So Joe,
I'm over it. I am. I think it would be a little bit different if Brandon Graham, 2 weeks ago said something very similar.
Yep.
And people aren't jumping down his throat about what he said. We were all kind of like,
Steve
okay, rah,
Gardner
rah,
Johnson.
BG, we love you. We
Yeah.
agree with you. Chauncey says something and it's like, okay, stop living in the past, move on, game is over, blah, 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 which I do agree with. I agree with both. One thing I will say, and this will probably be the last thing I say on it, is people are saying, oh, well, the Chiefs also played on the same field. Well, the Chiefs didn't have this dominant defense all season that was pushing for the sack record. The Eagles were 2 sacks away in the regular season at that prestigious sack record that's been in check since 85, 86?
86, yeah.
So we're not going to sit here and act like the Eagles defense and the Chiefs defense were on the same playing level, right? We're not doing that. So the advantage absolutely went to the Chiefs.
Yeah, it didn't take the wheel.
Yeah.
Here's my thing is, I blame the NFL because you don't roll out new grass for the Super Bowl. You just don't do that. Like I heard this whole thing where they said for like 2 years they grew it on this big old piece of plastic or whatever, and then they put it in the stadium for like 6 weeks and got it and kept pulling it out in sunny days to get it used to. And some turf companies' idea was, well, the reason is it acted like that is because the stadium was full of fans and it changed the atmosphere, which made it hold in moisture and slippery, whatever BS, whatever scientific line it is. You should not roll out new grass in the biggest game of the year. That's where I blame the NFL. You don't roll out something that could be that big. Because here's my question: what do you gain from that? If the grass is wonderful, say it's the softest grass of all time, does anybody talk about that? Does anybody care about that?
I think that they try and put these explanations in the terms that people will not understand. So they just take it for face value.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and one of the explanations that I heard from the sod father was that
94-year-old guy
that they rolled it in too early before drying it out or whatever it was, so the moisture remained in it. Okay.
Again, here is
that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so many different explanations that they're going to feed us anything until number one, we're tired of hearing of it and we just shut up about it.
Yeah.
Or number two, the explanation is about science and we technically don't understand about it anyway.
Yeah. Well, my point is, what was the point of the NFL rolling out new grass?
What is the point of the NFL blaming the players a week ago?
No, but my point is, after that at all, why do you put out something brand new in the biggest game of the year?
Well, I mean, they're just trying to get the best product, I guess.
Conspiracy.
I just don't understand. I just don't understand why the grass needed to change. But whatever. Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm over it. It's not, no matter what we do, even if it comes out that they found this book of conspiracies that proves without a shadow of a doubt the NFL did that to slow the defenses down. Whatever it is, they're not going to go back and take it back and give us a championship. We're not going to have a parade.
No, of course not.
So it's like, yes, get over it, move on. I don't, like Fred said, I don't want to sound like the Niners.
Well, it's almost like
they're back and whining again.
Remember that it was the 2017 playoffs, to go into the NFC Championship to face the Eagles. Remember, it was the Saints in Minnesota. The fans and a bunch of people tried to get whatever this loophole in effect and try and get the game replayed. And the NFL's like, what are you talking about? No, we're not going to go. Yeah, we're not. Your protests are falling on deaf ears. We're not going to go by some loophole and replay the game. So I mean, it's much like that. It's like it just enough of it already.
Look at the MLB. Look at the Houston Astros and their whole thing. Like with banging on the trash cans and all that stuff. Like, they got caught red-handed.
Oh yeah.
They're just going to have a little asterisk next to it that says there was a whole thing behind it, but they didn't. They still are World Series champions that year, no matter what you do.
I know, and I just read not too long ago that the MLB commissioner now looks back upon that and says, "Oh, I was too lenient on the players. I should have really, slapped the book at them for that."
Yeah, that's too little, too late, no matter what
Yeah.
at this point. But so yeah, like I said, that's pretty much the only real Eagles news that's been floating around, and not news, but like every channel you
Drama.
turn on,
Drama.
podcast, it's like,
Bull
come on, man,
crap
I just
drama.
got over this a month or so ago, and we're gonna bring it back up and anger me again.
No, and you're totally
March.
right. 13 days away from camp, and I mean, listen, July is the last month that we do not have football again till next March.
Yeah.
So it is officially time to move on.
So one of the battles for position, because that's the one thing that does make the preseason interesting, because there's a lot of young guys who are trying to win a job that's hard to win, because only one guy's going to get the job, but there's 2, 3, 4, 5 people sometimes trying to get this job. But one of the big positions to watch is the right guard. We lost our guy. He's out in Pittsburgh now, so everybody just thought it was going to be plug and play Cam Jurgens. But then they go and they draft Tyler Steen, was at the second round,
Third round.
or third round, and then they also have guys like Jack Driscoll on the roster. Joe, I'll start with you. Who is your
Wow, that is a lot of comments on that post.
a lot of comments?
1,200 comments. Okay.
Yeah.
I this is again the reason we talked about this prior, and like one of the things I keep coming back to, especially with this position, is I've always been a fan of Jack Driscoll.
Mhm.
Ever since we drafted him and Prince Tega coming from Auburn, I really liked him. We've seen him as a plug and play. We've seen him. I kind of put him up there on a pedestal like a big V, who was very very serviceable when we played. And look what he did. He played in the Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl, went out and got his big contract. Now, that's not what I kind of foresee Jack Driscoll doing. I think he's a very solid backup. Do I think he's in the running if he can get in the camp, put on some size, work with Statland? Is there a smidgen of a chance that he is the starting
Shipping a
right guard?
chair.
I think that there is a small possibility.
Mhm.
But when I look at the two, and I was very vocal on this once the offseason started and Mayalata was gone, is I honestly thought that Cam Jurgens was going to be slotted right in, of course, with some competition and some question marks going to see if he can actually do it or not. But I honestly thought that they were just going to plug him in as the favorite for the right guard position, because I couldn't see them wasting, and I hate to say wasting, but I couldn't see them using such a high draft pick for a second redshirt year. And I mean, if you really look at it, why would it be a redshirt year? It's because the best center in the history of the NFL is returning for his 12th or 13th season, whatever it is, which we all love. So, I mean, it's not a question mark whether who would we rather have, Kelsey or Jurgens. It's Kelsey hands down. But then the question mark is, what do you do with Cam Jurgens? And then the draft comes and you start to think, all right, well, first, second round, they didn't go offensive line, but they did go offensive line in the third round. And I think that is a pretty high 65th overall. I think that's a pretty high pick for a guy who would be just slotted in as a backup behind Cam Jurgens, when Cam Jurgens is unproven at right guard, for the foremost right now. I look at two things here. Cam Jurgens was handpicked by Jason Kelsey 2 seasons ago in the draft. This draft, look, Tyler Steen is out of Alabama, SEC. Where would Jeff Statland coach? Where does he pay most attention to? Alabama. I think that this is a hand-picked move by Jeff Statland. I think he looks at his size. You look at the size of Landon Dickerson. Dickerson is 6'6", 333. Tyler Steen is 6'6", 321. He puts on another 10 pounds. He's right in there in that size.
He's actually up to 331.
There you go. There you go.
And it's
He
funny,
now
on their
has,
website they have him at 303.
okay.
Yeah,
Well,
it's weird.
he now has that size, and he's very versatile. He played right and left tackle. I think he went to Vanderbilt, and then he transferred over to Alabama.
Defensive lineman at Vanderbilt.
Right. Yes, he started defensive end, but then ultimately switched over. He's versatile on that offensive line. I think an offseason with Jeff Statland, and again, because Statland, he probably talks to a lot of these guys still at Alabama. I mean, he
Oh,
probably like he has his finger on the pulse of all of it, especially when it comes to the offensive line of not only Alabama, but I'm sure Georgia and some of these other big name schools, Ohio State, Michigan. I look at Tyler Steen almost. I kind of figure he might be the favorite now over Cam Jurgens because Cam Jurgens is unproven and Tyler Steen is. I think he is more of the right fit, right size for a right guard in the NFL.
Jack Driscoll, I think, has absolutely. My wife is furious. Our next door neighbor, whose son bathes topless in our backyard. Personally, I'm on the fence. It's pretty random.
Where do you live?
Thanks, Dives.
That's the ultimate dad. That's the ultimate dad joke. I'm on the fence.
Yeah.
Was he listening? He thinks he was listening to Delco Live.
Yeah, I don't know what he thought he was.
Wrong
listening
show. Anyhow, I think there's absolutely no. I like Jack Driscoll. No shot that he plays right guard at all. Like I don't think he'll win the job.
Barring injury, of course.
Obviously, I think he's the utility guy, the plug and play guy that he can play anywhere on the offensive line, and I love it, and that's good. Good for him. We draft those guys. They typically move on after their contract. That's his fit. Cam Jurgens, I really think that's his job to lose. To your point, though, he is undersized, 23, 6'3", 303 pounds. He's trying to put on more weight. I feel as though it's his job to lose, though. So last year they wanted to plug him in at right guard as kind of, through training camp to kind of teach him. But then Kelsey went down with that elbow surgery, so he was kind of thrusted into that starting center job at that point. So he kind of didn't get to cross-train.
Well,
he did. And he's probably the future center is the plan, no doubt about that. Like you said, Kelsey handpicked him. But so far in the OTAs, they have him lined up as the guy. He only had 35 snaps as a rookie. I think it's really his job to lose. But if he's going to lose the job to someone, it's Tyler Steen. I agree. But he, again, is a rookie, and I think they like to play those guys and let them, get themselves going. So I feel Tyler Steen does have a chance to beat
Landon
him.
Dickerson started as a rookie.
Wasn't that injury as well? And then he got injured too. But I feel like they liked it to slowly ease him in. But you're right, size wise, you want a 6'6" guy that's 330. And future wise, it probably will be Tyler Steen, and then that'll be a nice offensive line. But I think they're going to ease him in. Now he's a high pick too. Jurgens was 51st overall. Steen's 65th overall. They're both very athletic and versatile. Like Steen played defensive line. Jurgens played tight end. So they can be moved around.
And Kelsey, I think Kelsey played tight end at one point in his career too.
Well, I know Jason Peters did.
Yeah, that's true too.
Peters did. Kelsey,
I don't know about.
Well, Kelsey's brother was tight end, so I don't know. And they were both at Cincinnati.
Right.
Maybe in high school, I think he did. He did play some skill position. I do remember hearing that. I don't know who it is. So
I'm just saying, it kind of sucks to see the 51st pick Jurgens not get on the field again. Real quick, I want to remind you guys this show is brought to you by Sherry's Tickets, Sherry's Ticket Town. Go to sherrystickets.com. Find any event you're looking for, sports, concerts, theater, you name it. Phillies will be back in town. Great time to go get some tickets. Great seats, no hidden fees. Save 10% by using that great promo code
EoP10.
EoP10. That's right. We use it all the time. Go to Sherry's Ticket Town or sherrystickets.com and tell them they'll know EoP sent you because use that great promo code. But
another point I want to bring up about Steen, though, is we got to remember he didn't even play guard in college. Sure. So he's got to learn the position. He played tackle for the most part. And from all reports, he wasn't even happy about playing guard at the Senior Bowl. But then other NFL teams saw him play and have success. It actually raised his draft stock. So I feel like he has a learning curve unless he comes out and is like just a monster. That it's kind of like, but to Dive's point, we're going to sit Jurgens another year and not get him some time. And I don't know. Does Kelsey, I don't fully know that this is his last year. We keep saying this, but I think he wants to win it on the Super Bowl. He's jacked up about Hurts. He sees the future. He said, like he said, he still loves playing the game. I often wonder sometimes, is Jurgens a future trade chip if he continues to play? You know what I mean? But because you could just sit him, but
I
Right.
mean, is it?
That's really tough to sit him one more year.
Oh, I totally agree.
And here's my thing: is I honestly think this is Kelsey's last year for a couple of years, a couple of reasons, and one
Yeah,
of
but
the
we've been saying that since Sayamalo got drafted.
Yeah,
like
true.
Sayamalo was
it's
supposed to
Jalen
be
Hurts
the,
is
Well-
the reason for me thinking that.
Landon Dickerson was supposed to be the replacement for Jason Kelsey.
Yeah.
and then Sayamalo, then Dickerson.
Right.
Now,
Right.
so like this guy just keeps
Kelsey-
playing. He
Yeah,
plays.
but he's not. Listen, he's ageless to a point, but sooner or later, Father Time always wins this.
He's not
this
that
battle.
old though, and he's been relatively healthy.
Yeah, but in the game,
How old is he? 35.
33, I believe.
Yeah, but
Dude, that's young.
it is young. but-
Linemen been going to 38 since before. And nowadays, you keep yourself in such good shape with all the ways they do it. I hear your point. I'm just like,
I'm wondering if the Jalen Hurts
Sorry, 35.
contract is the reason why he's not back next year. If anything, they're paying him a lot of money. Let's not forget that. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
you're gonna have to start making moves and room for money. And Cam Jurgens' rookie contract versus being the most highly paid center in the NFL makes a difference.
his
Well, yeah.
newborn's probably a factor as well.
Sure.
But
And
you,
CIO.
I mean, look at but look at this. Look at they have
Talking
him and his
Bears.
brother have one of the
Talking
most
Bears.
popular podcasts. We've seen him
That's
working
yeah,
out,
good
doing
point.
trials for on TV sports broadcasting. I mean, he'll probably be a key factor over at WIP at one point in the not too distant future. God only knows. So, but I'm thinking his contract is going to be a big reason he's not back next year with the Eagles because Eagles like, listen, Jason, we love it just might not fit with him starting to get paid more starting next year. I think that would be a big reason why he's not back, and maybe he just wants to go out on top. Doesn't want to get hurt or anything. But looking at the matchups, I agree. I think we both are saying it's Jurgens' job to lose. He has to lose it unless Tyler Steen either just comes out and plays like a man possessed, and they're just like they can't say no to it. Because if you look at it, it's all future moves. Jurgens was picked last year, and everybody was like, "Oh, we're picking second round for the next year." Well, why would they do third round this year the same way? So Jurgens is going to be the guy. Steen's going to get some time to work behind him. So if Jurgens does slot over to the center, and then you're going to have to put Tyler Steen right in there and be ready to have him. The other reason I'm telling you Jack Driscoll is not making it at all.
Whoa, cut?
No, I'm speaking into the right guard position.
Okay.
Outside of two guys getting injuries, is he has a really important job. He's playing behind Lane Johnson, who is coming off some abdominal surgery, played through some pain. I get it. Man is a warrior. He has not let up a sack in like 3 years or whatever it is now. Like we don't have, who's our guy behind Lane Johnson? Nobody. Bunch of nobody.
Tyler Steen, maybe.
Tyler Steen has played tackle.
Yeah. I mean, on their depth chart,
You're right.
Brett Toth. Is it Toth? Is it?
We always label these linemen, to your point right now, in it like Driscoll was pegged X position. I don't even know.
Right.
I forget. And they've moved them to so many things. So that's a great point, too. Like, we could all be about Steen at right guard, and then suddenly he's the tackle.
Yeah.
And the heir apparent to Lane Johnson, who, as great as he is, has had injury issues every single year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what the numbers, what the win-loss looks like when we don't have Lane Johnson in there. It's a dramatic drop. But we saw when he did miss some time, Jack Driscoll did a very good job. Give the man credit. I mean, he wasn't Lane Johnson. Your backup's never going to be the guy. I mean, it just rarely does that ever happen. But
Big V was a backup.
yeah, and he got
Malu was a backup.
Yeah, but he got slided over into the guard, and the other guy got moved and got a big contract with Detroit, who they still regret giving him that kind of
Next
money.
man up.
Yeah, but sorry, go ahead.
But I'm saying my point is it's Jurgens' job to lose unless Steen plays really well. Maybe Steen does slot in if Lane or Jordan get injured or something and they go down. I mean, Landon Dickerson is another thing. Steen might have to be a backup to him. That man's got more surgeries before he even played a lick of football in the NFL. I mean, give him credit. He's been pretty.
Let's not say it.
What?
Just don't jinx it. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, it's fine. Well, what I'm saying, he's going to need a backup too. And that's what this team. I mean, when we won the Super Bowl in 2017, it was the depth. This year, when we went as far as we went, it was guys being able to slot in and keep things running as it was. So I think Jack Driscoll has a much more important job than starting guard as Lane Johnson's backup, or if somebody else gets hurt.
And we have other guys in the reserve role back there. I mean, Sua Opeta, he's been with the team since what, 2019. He's a pretty good guy. 4 starts in his career. Then you got Brett Toth. He's been around. He's another versatile guy. Julian Good-Jones, Cameron Tom, all fighting for spots. I think, it's pretty much Jurgens or Steen, like we were saying. But who else? I mean, that Toth probably makes the roster, and Opeta. I don't think the other two, they'll fight for jobs, but
Right.
I don't think they make it. So
My biggest thing with the Cam Jurgens right now is when it came to Landon Dickerson getting drafted, as what we all thought was the heir apparent to Jason Kelsey at center, they slide him into left tackle and remaining healthy, and that left side of our offensive line was the best in football. And that's why I've always pounded the table that you cannot slide him back into center, after, because it's just too many moving pieces. But you also look at the size of him, 6'6", 333. He has the fit of a left guard. Now, when you're looking at Jurgens compared to the size of Tyler Steen, you look at that size. Like Jason Kelsey is undersized. We all know that, but it did not hold him back at all as a center. I think that is what plays in favor of Jurgens being our future center going
Actually
forward.
bigger than him.
But if you look at him just at the right guard position and the size, do you really want an undersized guard next to Lane Johnson, who, to everybody's point, gets injured a lot or at least misses a couple games? So why would you want an undersized guard playing next to Lane Johnson or whoever the backup to Lane Johnson is?
it's very possible that he would be given the shot and lose the job, because there's a reason why he's trying to get up to 315. That's
Sure.
what he wants to get to. And so the Eagles told him that. Like, he was at 303. I think he went at OTAs, he was 305. I
Yeah.
mean, we're 13 days away.
And Jack Driscoll is 6'5", 320. So he even has more size for a right guard than Cam Jurgens.
And most important is Jalen Hurts' health.
Of course.
So you're right. You know what I mean? If it comes out that he's playing and he's getting blown off the ball by these interior defensive linemen, it will be Steen rather quickly. Or now you got me turning back to Driscoll. So it is, the size is an issue. Or he did look good at center when he played. He could be a monster, and it shouldn't bother him at guard, because guards some are undersized because you want pulling guards, moving them up and down the line.
And they do the pulling guard a lot in their offensive scheme.
They do the pulling center a lot.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And actually, sometimes they pull 2 guys from that side.
Yeah.
So I've seen them do that.
And if you're doing that with Kelsey and Jurgens, that's 2 undersized guys pulling.
Actually, they haven't done that as much since Doug left, but he still does that a little bit where they pull both the guard and the center. Because they overpower the one side, maybe that's Kelsey's. Like, think about it. Everybody always says how he's smaller, but he plays such a big position. But sometimes being smaller and knowing how to use your low center of gravity in this position is a plus. And plus having that extra speed that allows you to get to that second level and we've seen him do some amazing blocks and give guys, give pad some stats for some running backs.
Sure.
Huge holes. Drive a truck through it, as Madden would say. But I just he could lose. I just can't. I go back to the 51st pick in the draft, getting his feet wet. Unless he's a complete bomb, I just feel like they want to get him snaps at the level just to get him accustomed, so that next year they kind of know. Because even if, like, at guard, you see like he's undersized against certain matchups, but then, like, let's say he's getting blown off the ball altogether, like he doesn't look good at all. Now you're like questioning, all right, Kelsey's leaving. Is he the guy now? Maybe they draft someone else just in case. So I feel like you have to see what you got in this guy. Preseason, though, we'll see. Because right away, if he's getting crushed, you're right. Tyler Steen will get the opportunity. And if Tyler Steen ain't ready because he's played tackle,
it's Jack Driscoll.
We're at Driscoll.
Yeah.
You convinced me.
I think it's safe to say
you to give Driscoll an opportunity.
I think it's safe to say that we feel comfortable with this position and each scenario.
Well, I mean, I can say as much as I am about Tyler Steen. I haven't seen a lick of him play outside of the highlight reels, which is how much highlight reels they have for linemen. But I mean, he's got the size, he's got the talent, and I just always don't worry about when they pick linemen, because you know who's behind it. Jeff Stoutland is looking at these guys, and he could take any lump of clay and turn it into a piece of art. You know what I mean? So that's why I don't worry about that position as much, but it is just fun to watch and figure out who, because this is the future. I mean, think about it. In the next year or two, uh, there is no Lane Johnson, there is no Jason Kelsey, and it's a whole new offensive line that we have not been used to in the last decade.
Well, what are we? All right, it'll be 23-24 season. Lane says basically that he's only going to play out this, or at least he at the moment
No new
plans to only
contract, yeah.
only play out this contract, and I believe it's up in 2026. So
yes.
I don't know if that's the season of 25-26 or 26-27. If you're catching my drift.
tell
So
you right now.
so I believe it's 26-27. So at the moment we have 3 more seasons locked in with Lane Johnson.
Lane Johnson contract has him playing through the 27
Okay.
year. And the thing is, it keeps working out in his favor because every time they got to make moves and make some cap room, he always gets paid out in a bonus.
Oh yeah.
And they make draft.
All these players.
He already did. Every year he's had his contract adjusted. It just guarantees him more money, so he's happy. His agent's happy, I'm sure.
To
And
Dibe's point that Haley's definitely going to draft a right tackle next year's draft. They have 2 second-round picks next season.
Yeah.
So there's no doubt one of those picks is going.
I was calling for it this year.
Me and you both were talking about that. I'm like, because people were like, oh, early in this when the season was still going on, like they got 2 first-round drafts. Who do you think to go with? I said, I'm thinking one of them is the right tackle because of Lane Johnson. And then he ends up. That's right before he got injured. Right before he got his abdominal injury, he had the surgery, cleared to play. I mean, it's amazing the things that they can do. And abdominal pain is one of the worst spots because no matter what you do, you can't get past that. And you're in the trenches. You're in every play.
Yeah, I wanted
there's no out of it. There's no taking a play off.
I can't believe I can't remember his name right now off the top of my head, but I wanted them to take the offensive lineman from Iowa in the first round with one of our picks. If anybody can remember his name. I can't remember his name right now. I think he went to Baltimore, but I'm not positive. I know once I say it, I'm like, that's it.
I usually have my paper right here. I left all my draft paper at home too. I know you're talking about. Damn it. It's going to bother me now.
For the life of me, I can't think of his name right now.
But guys, I want to remind you that this show is brought to you by, you can see on the screen right now, phillysportstrips.com. You'll see I put the San Diego trip on there because if you waited too long, you can't go to Pittsburgh with Philly Sports Trips anymore. It is sold out. That's right. It's sold out. This is why I keep telling you guys, jump on it. Don't wait. The next trip they have coming up is the San Diego trip. By the way, if you've never been to San Diego, it's a beautiful place. So check it out. Go out to Petco Park. Catch a couple Phillies games. It's going to be an important one. I mean, the San Diego Padres are right behind the Phillies in the standings for the wild card position. So that time, September, is a beautiful time to go out there, and it's going to be some very meaningful baseball. So get out there, check it out. And don't forget, they're going to have all the away trips for the Eagles. So one of these away games you're going to have to go to. If you're not, I'm telling you, you're missing out. We've all done it. We've been there. They're amazing. Go to phillysportstrips.com.
I just remember it. Tyler Lindenbaum.
I knew it was like a mouthful name. I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
I did. Let's shift gears here. Where do you want to go next, Fred? I'll let you pick.
I think it's time for some Turk talk, baby. Sixers Summer League. Terquavion Smith is freaking killing it. And I really think, A, he has to make the roster, and B, he should be in the damn rotation. All right. This guy is scoring at 3 levels. He's shooting 37.5% from 3, leads the team in 3-point attempts. He's shooting from like Dame level, which they call like the 4-point land.
Okay.
The last 2 games, he showed a lick of defense as well. He's getting out and running in transition, scoring at 3 levels, fighting off screens, the pick and roll, everything you would want in a Nick Nurse type guy. And I understand it's summer league, but I really think this kid got something. And for all the did someone say Turk? For all the
we should have had him call in on this one, right?
Yeah, I was trying to pull the graphic up. He had a nice graphic because he put together all the stats. I think it was 15.7 points per game. But just watching him visibly makes you just excited. Like, we don't have any wings, we don't have any scorers. Yeah. And I just think he has to be given a shot because looking at the current Sixers roster, you have your starting 5. and then it's Patrick Beverly, DeAnthony Melton, and then you got Springer, who Dives, who was chiming in. He brought up a good point on Party on Broad today that like this is a wake up call for Springer because as good as Springer's defense is athletically and how he can get up and make dunks, if he can't score, they're going to go with Turk over him, especially if Turk can hold his own defensively and put the effort in or improve. And Nurse has shown to work with players and develop their game and make them better. So I'm all about seeing scoring. We just don't have wings. So who else? Like right now, as it stands now, I would give Turk an opportunity over Daniel House, who misses layups galore. The one game in the playoffs, he went like 8 for 10 from layups, and it was like, oh, everyone's like all about Daniel House suddenly. And I'm like, dude, he misses those all the time. Or he likes his stupid little step back corner three. Like, I don't have time for that nonsense. Daniel House is what he is. And Daniel House will get minutes. And maybe Terquavion Smith doesn't pan out. But I think sooner than later, they need to try him and get him through camp and see what's going on. Because Korkmaz, I'd rather Smith. Like, we know who else? What other wings do we have?
Do they even like Korkmaz anymore? Like, seriously?
Yeah, it doesn't matter though. He's on the roster.
I know he's
not
because of some stupid contract, but I'm saying, I mean, it is first part, 2-part question. Is Terquavion a higher chance now that there's no Nick Nurse is in there? Like, I don't know Nick Nurse's proclivities with rookies versus, especially an undrafted rookie versus, having to use.
He developed Anunoby and Pascal Siakam. Like, the knock on him is like he didn't want to play young players last year. I mean, we had Keith Pompey on. He touched on a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, like, I think it was more like he went to the GM, Ursi, or however you pronounce it, and URSI, and said, yo, dude, no, I tried playing these guys. They ain't it, dude. You drafted the wrong guys. And that was their problem because he was like, no, I'm not playing them. They're not good enough. I'm trying to win, and I will certainly play them if they're good enough, but they're not. Like, look at Fred VanVleet. He look at these guys that got paid because of him.
Right.
So I think Nick Nurse, if Turk has it, then that's it. Like he's going to play. If he doesn't,
care if you're young
I think that's a overblown thing that he didn't play the young guys. I think the young guys stunk, and he wasn't playing them because of that.
Well, and I don't know too much about Turk Smith. I'll be 100% honest with you. I know a little bit about a little bit. I know that he's 20 years old. So, I mean, if it is a problem of age with Nick Nurse, he ain't going to play a 20-year-old over a 30-year-old vet in Daniel House. Shooting guard, and he's 6'4". And I, outside of some of the highlight stuff I've seen from Dibes and, what you guys talk about on Party on Broad, I was watching some of it earlier. I mean, outside of that, I haven't done a deep dive on him yet. Is a 6'4" shooting guard at age 20, is that really one of the routes you want to go when you have two roster spots left open on this team?
Well, here's the thing. His frame is small, and it's wing, so he can play some small forward too. It was shooting guard, forward, both. 6'4" is a little small for that, I guess. But I until they don't have any cap space. They just signed BBALL Paul, which we should probably touch on him too.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They're $6.7 million into the luxury tax. So whoever they bring in,
so why stop now?
But there's who's available.
Right.
Like Danny Green. Is that who you want?
Negative.
Like, I like Danny Green, by the way. But he's slower than he was when he was here. He's a good veteran. He knocks it. He gets hot from three, and he does play good D. But he's slow. He's after the injury, he's slow as molasses now, even worse. So who are they going to bring in? Then I would make that determination. But as the roster stands right now, I would put him over House and Korkmaz. I don't even know where we would go. You like Paul Reed, the small forward? Like move. That's probably not the move. Like who else? I can't really think. Like, what are the options? Like, you could move PJ Tucker there. You could move Tobias there on the backup role. I'm talking strictly bench, and I'm not talking this guy starting. I'm saying 10 minutes a night, 12 minutes a night. If he can come on the court and get you six points, go 2 for 4 from three, and come off the floor, great. It beats what Korkmaz does. Comes on the floor, gives you 0.
Yeah, when it comes to some of these guys and we're giving Nick Nurse basically the benefit of the doubt, saying that he's going to get the most out of these guys, i.e., really everyone on the roster, if you think about it, because we're all expecting Nick Nurse to be more aggressive, more involved, more strategic with when talking about Daniel House. Wouldn't you think that Nick can get the most out of Daniel House at 6'7", 30 years old vet, like knowing how to kind of work within these guys' games, work to their strengths, knowing that at least they have some experience and they know how to make an adjustment on the fly as maybe, especially because this kid is so raw. So, I he's wet behind the ears. Like he's 20 years old. Like he played at NC State. I mean, he even played at a big college, undrafted. I mean, I don't.
Though a lot of people thought he should have been drafted, and Ricky Council as
Sure,
well.
sure. I personally, I mean, and honestly, I could watch these G League games and Springer and what the hell is his name?
Ricky Council?
No, I like him. No, the guy who won the slam dunk concert.
McClung.
Contest.
McClung.
Yeah, I watch him in the G League, last year in the championship, and they're putting up 35, 40 points. Like what I see in the G League, do I like what I'm seeing? Absolutely. Do I think it's going to transfer into the NBA and the speed of the NBA at such a young age, especially for Turk Smith? I just don't see it happening right now. But if it's a Cinderella story, I am all for it because I've said many times how I don't want them to run this team back exactly how it is right now. And I mean, we can go further into this, but I do see Harden getting traded for a piece or two. So I mean, there could be roster spots already taken up by that.
You bring up a good point in Harden because he is that whole thing does hold things back as well. And some of the free agents available as Dives bring. Can you pop them back up real quick? Did you knock them off? Sorry. TJ Warren, Terrence Davis, Kelly Oubre. Warren and Oubre interest me, but to your point, they're nothing that's gonna like. To your point about Harden, he's holding that up. That contract. So depending on what we trade that for, would determine this, or which I think is more likely than everyone's saying. I've been saying it for a while now that we are running it back, not because necessarily I want to run it back, because of our cap situation. No one wants James Harden. They might take him on a 1-year deal at $35 million, but wherever Harden gets traded to, part of the deal is going to be the contract.
Sure.
So like that's the holdup. If he's not going to go to the Clippers just to play 1 year, $35 million, he's going to go to the Clippers to get a contract extension. Who is going to pay this guy $50 million plus? No clue. So I think it ends up he is back. I think he is cool with Embiid. He's cool with all the players. And then I don't think these signings can happen due to that. I think we're held up by Harden. And if they can move him, great. Like, I don't know. See, if you can get someone of significance back, I doubtful. It's probably going to be a bunch of role players.
Sure.
But we can't string ourselves up for the future, too. We can't take back a bunch of contracts that are 2-3 years role players either.
I totally agree. My rebuttal is twofold. Number one, you don't want a disgruntled James Harden on the team because number one,
year though, you're forgetting.
True.
He can't. That's what I'm saying.
But
he can't come out and be that guy to get.
I don't think he gives a shit, to be honest.
Dude, but then he's definitely not going to get paid. You know what I mean?
He's going to get paid the 35. He's getting that at least.
But then his next contract, like the whole thing is about getting him he wants a multi-year deal.
Yeah, but
if he comes out and does that, he's going to be down to $20 million.
I totally agree with that. But with his market right now, he might be facing that anyway. So I mean, you don't want him to no,
not if he comes out and plays though.
I don't. How much is he like? How much improvement is he going to show under a coach who really doesn't like the game that he plays?
True.
And he's already. I mean, everybody saw the white party with Michael Rubin hanging out. Oh, they're going to run it back. Harden after that party went back to Daryl Morey and said, "I want out of Philadelphia." And Embiid is getting questions
before the party.
No. This was like 3 days ago, 4 days ago.
He did it before the party.
Before the party and then after.
And then after the party, reports the Sixers or whoever started leaking the chances of him coming back. Then he went and that it's likely he comes back. So then it's all freaking game. So then his camp reiterates, no, we want to be traded. And then John Clark, who I kind of trust, reported it's basically both.
Right.
If they can work out a deal, great. If not, the Sixers are likely for him coming back. as well.
Yeah, and I think to your biggest point about a Harden trade is it basically is an extension and a sign and trade. Like, yeah, he's not going to want to get traded to go play 1 year for somebody and then be back, on the market, under the same thing that he's happening right now. It is absolutely a worst case type of scenario we have going on right now. And yeah, like Turk Smith, we have no idea what they can even do with the roster if they can get these guys up here, these younger guys, to give them a shot, because we have no idea what's going to happen with Harden. And I think another reason with that is because they don't know what type of trade shape that there is, because Dame's still out there. So there's other pieces out there, other trades that are going to have to come and kind of make that trade market what it is for the players after the gold standard of Dame Lillard.
You bring up Dame, that could be a factor, because then I could see them if Dame was the guy, right? So like Portland's not going to take Harden.
Right.
They're a rebuild.
Right.
They're trading him. That they want to get assets back. So what I could certainly see is, okay, fine, we'll take your deal, Clippers, without Terrence Mann. We'll take Powell and whoever. Just give us picks. And then they'll in turn take those picks, flip them to Portland with Tobias Harris. And unfortunately, Tyrese Maxey is what it would take to get that deal done.
Absolutely.
Which I'm against. I want to keep Maxey.
I'm just saying Pascal Siakam, future Sixer.
I can see that.
Dude, they love each other.
Yeah.
Like, the writing's on the wall. They just got to work it out. And what's up with the Raptors? They think they're going to keep both these guys. They won't trade them. Anobi's another one. Like they're out of there. Yeah. So maybe they work out a trade with them in the future, because they could then take, I don't know. But yeah, the free agent crop is the way to go. Run it back is the way to go. Whatever Harden does, Harden does. I feel like the best case scenario, though, is for him to come back for himself and for the Sixers. Let's see this roster with Nick Nurse. Let's see Harden in a Nick Nurse. The curious question, as you brought up, the ISO.
Yeah.
He's not Nick Nurse is also a chameleon, though, and he will change his stuff. So I'm interested to see, but how would that work?
Yeah.
And if you see that leaked board from the Sixers draft night, Harden is in there at small forward.
Wow.
And according to reports, his camp is intrigued by how Nick Nurse sees it. So best case scenario for Harden, if he doesn't find a trade, is to come back, play, and then you're gone after this year. Best case for the Sixers is that as well.
But if he wants to play ISO, how the hell is he going to go to the forward position?
I don't know that he's going to play ISO.
Okay.
I think he's intrigued with. Now, there probably will be some ISO involved, and I guarantee Nurse will work with that, because that's just how Nick Nurse is. But it is intriguing to see how it works. And here's the thing about it. If they only played together for a year and a half.
Right.
Like we always trade these teams. We give up after a year and a half.
100%.
And playoff Harden is a loser, and he's always been a loser. I hated Harden before he came.
You can say that about Embiid, too.
You can say that about Daryl Morey teams as well.
Absolutely.
So, like, a lot of loser energy, as they say, involved with those. But
that makes me feel good.
I would like to see another year. The Warriors for one time was loser energy too, until Kerr took over. We thought maybe Doc was the guy to maybe get that loser energy out of there, but he proved not to be at all. He was a good locker room guy, I guess you would say. I'll give him credit, getting him beat in the post, all that stuff. Some people won't, whatever. But I would like to see this team with Nick Nurse, and even Tobias Harris with Nick Nurse. Maybe a coach. You heard Tyrese Maxey and Springer say, well, Springer said he's never seen a coach stop practice in the middle and then start giving out pointers to people. He wasn't trying to take a shot at Doc,
right?
But he did. Tyrese Maxey had Nick Nurse on his podcast this week. He said he's never had a coach that will try new things.
Yeah.
Pretty cool how they can.
I read that.
I know,
but try new things in the game. So like Doc was one that would never take a chance on that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where Nurse will. He said he'll put it in the toolbox or take it out. He'll try stuff. So I think, hey, that is the way to go if you can convince Harden to stay. And then, hey, if it don't work, Siakam is a free agent. Klay Thompson is a free agent. There's no guarantee he gets signed over there. You know what I mean?
They just gave Draymond more money, so they might be capped on that.
But another slow Klay year, they may not see him as a guy anymore.
Right.
Maybe not. Maybe he kills it. Jaylen Brown. Like, as much as they say this Supermax is happening, it hasn't gotten done yet. Does he want to be the second fiddle to Tatum?
Tatum. Well, he would be second fiddle here regardless.
but he'd be the guy with the ball.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? So, like, it's a different second fiddle when it's a center, and you're the guy, because Embiid is not the guy to give the ball at the end of the game. He cowered again in the playoffs. I don't care that Harden didn't give him the ball. He should have came. He could have called timeout on his own and said, "Give me the damn ball." Would Kobe Bryant, would that have happened? Would Michael Jordan, would that have happened?
Right.
Even LeBron James, would that have happened? We've seen it kind of happen, but then there's other times, like LeBron, as much as I criticize him, he has the most clutch shots in NBA history. Believe it or not. He has some misses and disappearances where he delegates. So, but Embiid, just no attempts, no nothing. So, you know, Jaylen Brown is my point, though, if he would come here. But, like, there's options out there that could be viable. But Pascal Siakam is certainly the one that would excite me, because if you got the Twin Towers there, but now Siakam can be a stretch forward, give some spacing, go find a guard. Maybe Springer, maybe Maxey he's going to take another step, guys. Like, year after year,
totally
he gets
agree with that.
he gets told, you can't shoot, then he can shoot. You can't do this, then he can do that. You can't run an offense like a point guard. Let's see.
Yeah. And you talk about this loser energy. There's one guy that doesn't have loser energy. That's David Archerry. If you get hurt at work in a motor vehicle accident, personal injury, or criminal law, call Dave Cherry. He will fight for your rights. Call him at 610-565-0300 or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Tell Dave EoP sent you. And before we move on from the Sixers conversation, as we said a little earlier, shocking news. Nobody thought this was going to happen once the Jazz put the waivers in, that, you know, we thought it was Paul Reed's tour was heading out to Utah.
Oh, yeah.
His victory tour is going to be in Utah. But they matched his 3 years, $23 million offer from the Jazz. And they guaranteed the last 2 years of Reed's deal if they win. Now, let me ask you a question. This part makes me laugh a little bit. Who did that with the Utah Jazz?
Danny Ainge.
Danny Ainge.
Right.
Did he just like, all right, the Sixers won him. Let's just make sure they have to keep him. He put this second round of the playoffs in there.
Right.
It just seems like another screw you to the Sixers type situation.
A little bit.
Like, am I reading into that too much?
You're not.
No.
Okay, all right.
No, not at all.
And I wouldn't put it past him to do this whole thing just to make them match, to know they have guaranteed money on the books for 2. He's always 20 steps ahead of us. And I almost like wanted to be like, why don't you come here? Like when he got like they kind of forced him out in Boston. Like, hey, let's get Boston back. Let's come here. But no doubt about it, he's so smart.
I know.
Like to do that, and just like it all could have been avoided. Now, I went back and forth on this. So, like, I ultimately think contract-wise, it is the wrong move. You know, as far as like camaraderie and keeping a team together, it's the right move. Tyrese Maxey was drafted, retweeted, was so excited about it. But like B-Ball Paul averaged 11 minutes per game, 4.3 points in those minutes, 3.8 rebounds. Like, if I told you didn't know who B-Ball Paul was, right?
Just give me the stats.
And the Sixers, just gave you, I got him right here. 4 points. So I just said, hey, yo, the Sixers just signed this guy last year. He's got a ton of upside. He's 11 minutes per game. He averaged 4.2 points per game, 3.8 rebounds, and 0.4 assists. So less than half of an assist per game. 0.7 blocks, 0.7 steals. And get this, you want him to shoot the 3? He shoots the 3 0.2 times per game. Are you excited about? He plays good. He's a good defender. He can defend the 3, 4, and 5. We're gonna sign him. He has a ton of upside. Are you hyped?
Based on that alone, no.
Based on that alone, no. But if
Yeah.
you gave me, of Montrezl Harrell or those stats, I'm taking those stats.
Well, Montrezl Harrell's with the team regardless.
I know.
So now let me up the ante for you. Guess what, guys? We signed him $8 million per year for the next 3 years, guaranteed. You're like, this is ridiculous. What are they doing? What a terrible signing. Now, we know what B-Ball Paul is. We know he's more than that.
And is it because his stats also reflect an entire year where he didn't get much play time until towards the end of the year?
A great point. As well, but he did that again.
We know, not other people.
Yeah.
And James Harden was a big reason for that.
Yeah.
Not Doc. Doc had to convince James Harden to let
James was behind, like,
I know, we know. There's an article on it. NBC.
No. I'm saying, like, behind him getting re-signed.
No.
Sheets.
No. He was for Montrez Harrell playing over Reed in the season.
Okay.
He wanted Harrell, not Reed, because he used to, I guess, Harrell. Anyhow, with that said, they had to bring him back. It's just Daryl Morey. This is more a shot at Daryl Morey. Like,
Is this the fact that maybe you will see a lineup with Paul Reed and Embiid on the court at the same time? Because here's my thought. One of the knocks against Embiid people have is he doesn't play underneath as a typical center would. A big body under the basket defending. He usually gets up to tries to take a three, or he takes it.
he hasn't done the three thing in a little bit.
No, but I'm
got
saying,
the
but he's
attempts
not.
back. He's been in the block the past 2 years.
But do you think that is a way of kind of allowing him to do that and having a lot more lineups without Embiid in it, or less Embiid time to stretch him out towards the end of the season? Why they are carrying 3 centers now?
I think you
Or
said
4,
a few
or-
things there. One of the things is something Joe did a video on,
Mhm.
which I think is a valid reason. Like, if you look at the games that Kawhi Leonard played when he was on load management, he sat 25, 30 games just because of load management. It might have been 22. I forget.
I thought it was more like 36.
It could be more.
I thought it was
Probably
some
could be
ridiculous
more.
number.
It was ridiculous, but so I would say that's a viable reason, as you kind of alluded to, him not playing, and then you'll have more minutes out of him. So he's not going to be the 11-minute guy. He's going to be a 20, 25-minute
Absolutely.
guy. He'll play I think he's going to play the floor with Nick Nurse. You saw what he did with Siakam. Who knows what he could do with Paul Reed? You're going to see him as the backup center. You maybe see him paired with Mo Bamba, a good signing that I like.
I really like that one, yeah.
And Mo Bamba can stretch. He can hit the
Yeah.
three. The volume isn't there, but it's still 3 attempts per
Only
game.
25 years old, too.
Yes.
He's super young.
I forget the 4 years. He was 38% from three, something like that.
He put up, when he was with Orlando, he put up 36 points on the Sixers one game. The potential is there.
Yes, and we only need him to be the backup. You
Right.
know what I mean? So I think there's a ton of he'll back up Embiid. He may play power forward at times, and because I think PJ Tucker is a backup. I love him. I hated the money on the contract, but I love Tucker. I don't think he should be playing starter minutes.
Right.
But anyhow, yes,
Well,
I think you're going to see a ton of stuff.
Again, is that another reason why you're going to carry 3 backup centers, is to give, because again, we're not going to be using PJ Tucker until the end of the season and in the playoffs again. Is it
Yes,
one of those
it
guys?
has to be.
Yeah.
It has to be.
There
But
has to be some type of rhyme to the reason.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Here's the
Because
other
everybody
issue.
just saw another center, another center. How many centers do we get? We're going to be a full center. When we're sitting there we need shooters, but we're grabbing centers. You know what I mean?
Wait till Nick Nurse basically said Petrusev is making the roster on the Maxi podcast, which I'm so against.
Nice.
Because he doesn't shoot
Actually,
the three either. We've been dying for a stretch 5 that
Right.
shoot like Bamba. So when he said that, oh wow, Dive's checking in here. If he'd end up giving it's going to call David Archerry to report a crime.
Yeah.
That guy sucks. He does. He gets bullied down low. If you watch him in summer league, he's getting bullied down low. So I would typically be that's fine. We don't want him banging down low.
Right.
We want him hitting the three, but he's not shooting the three either. So I don't get that. I don't get that at all.
It's a smoke screen.
But yeah, to B-ball Paul, we're gonna see. We're gonna see how it
There
can
is-
develop.
So I got
And his I think is what's the plus minus is when he's on the floor, however long, is always a positive. He's hustle. He makes great plays. He's more than the stats I read off. I'm more taking it as a shot at Morey. Why didn't you just sign the guy for $4 million, $5 million? Probably what he wanted. Instead, let's let him look at the market. And now we're stuck. You know what I mean? Because what if he isn't? This is an upside move. What if he's not? What if he is a 10-minute guy that
Sure.
just gives you some energy? Now we're stuck on the books with this guy for $8 million per. Morey's more and more becoming like a fraud to me.
Yeah, one Paul Reed comment, and then one more thing I want to add about the Sixers before we move on. I do think that it took down to the 11th hour for them to match it, is because they were looking at it all right, however the season starts to play out, we know next season the free agent market's huge. Tobias off the books, Harden off the books. Do we really want Paul Reed next season when we can use that $8 million, and then for further years that other $8 million when you can get somebody who is a starter in the starting 5 to replace Tobias or Harden? for whatever reason, they just knew the move had to be made, and that's why BBALL is back. I do think that they're not very happy about it.
The fans.
Oh, I'm talking about the team.
No, I'm saying I think the reason is Sixers Twitter harassed them.
Probably. Oh, yeah.
It was like a mayhem thing. Like Fire Morey was starting. Like it was like people were out, and I think they went to Harris and was like, "Yo, we kind of messed up here.
Right? Yeah.
We wanted to bring them back. This is a lot. Can we go over the luxury tax here because they're not happy. They're not going to be happy.
Right. But yeah, and the other signing that we're all forgetting is Patrick Beverley.
Yeah.
And I love this signing. I've wanted him to be a Sixer for like the past 3 or 4 years somehow.
Me too.
Just because he is scrappy. We see how Marcus Smart was a hustler, getting in the face of everybody, trash talking, being able to, produce on the court. And that to me is another Patrick Beverley type. And of course, he knows all these guys
why
already.
They went and got him because of what Marcus Smart did in the playoffs with the
It's very possible. Plus,
just like PJ Tucker.
Smart's gone.
Yeah, I know. But just like PJ Tucker, they went out and got him. They're like, all right, we can't afford Marcus Smart, but maybe we can get the next best thing, and we go get Patrick
And then
Beverley.
you also look at the roster. Harden is very close with Patrick Beverley. So if they're trying to convince James Harden to stay, why not get one of his former teammates, one of his good buddies who's on the Sixers now for a 1 year? Harden's on for a 1 year. Let's run it with that. See what happens. I mean, plus he's a former Rocket. I mean, it's all tying together here. I love the Patrick Beverley signing.
So is everybody over 30 on the starting five right now that I have in my head?
Other than Maxey, if he's a starter.
Except for Maxey, yeah.
I'm fine with veterans playing, but like,
Bias is 30.
Anthony Melton's young.
Bias is 30. Embiid's 30. Harden's what, 33?
Something
he's
like
definitely
that.
over 30.
PJ Tucker's 72. And Beverly
Kirk Smith is 20, so he's young.
And Patrick Beverley is 35, right?
I'm not sure his
I'm
age.
not sure.
He's been in the league for a while, and to your point,
Yes,
I've wanted
35.
I've wanted him forever too, and I wanted PJ Tucker forever. But like they get him like when they're old. Is he washed? Like from 2015 to 2021, he damn near shot 40% from three. Damn, 40%. Like 35 is a good 3-point shooter. So like the problem is the last 2 years. He's 3-time All-D. The last 2 years, he's down to like 33%. And then his last 20 games? What do I have written here?
Well, last
22 games with the Bulls, he's 31% from three. Now, the Bulls improved and made the playoffs. As he says, he's like the playoff guy. And he brings what you're talking about, that tenacity. He's 3-time All-D. He's a vet minimum guy. I think it's going to be fun because he has a podcast.
That's what I think. I think he's going to be fun to watch. And speaking of his podcast, he's the one that broke the signing to the Sixers. It wasn't Woj. It wasn't Shams. It was Patrick Beverley's own podcast on Twitter posting that he is signing with the Sixers.
I know. And he who's he credit? Did you hear who he credited?
I'm not sure.
Doc Rivers is.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yes.
I did hear that.
So he's like, Doc this, Doc that. And we're just like, oh, man. And then he's like, where is he going to live? He's like, I'm living in Philly. I ain't doing the Jersey thing. He's hilarious.
He wants to feel the city.
He was Carson profanity laced press conference. He's going to be awesome, unless he stinks and he keeps doing it.
He's going to be awesome unless
because fans love that stuff until it gets annoying.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude. But they asked him about Maxey, and he's like, man, he's good at like scoring all this stuff. He's like, and then people want to change people and make them whatever. I'm paraphrasing. He's like, F that. Let Maxey do what he does now. But I disagree with that. Let Maxey needs to get better on defense and pressure the ball. But he's going to be fun. If he can get to like 35% from three, though, oh, my God, it'll be such a game.
I'm just looking at last year's stats.
Because he's been on crap teams. You know what I mean? And like,
he was 30.9 last year from three.
Okay.
That's bad. That's not good.
I mean, it's bad, but it's right below 1 out of 3. So, I mean, I could kind of live with it.
Yeah, it's not good. That's because then no one's going to guard him.
I'm sorry. Last year with the Lakers, he was 34, almost 35%. And then when he was with the Bulls, he was almost 31%. So, yeah.
All right, so there you go. 1/3.
I mean,
22 games with the Bulls, 31%. So 33 is okay.
Like
we can okay with that.
Right.
Yeah, the attempts were down and then they were up. But that stretch from 15 to 2021 with Harden, mind you, he was like 4 attempts per game and hitting 40%. So that's almost 2 out of 4.
2 out of 4.
Which we could then it's gold mine. But
Yeah.
his defense has looked slower. He does a lot of talking. But I like the signing. I'm not knocking. I'm just giving information. Like,
Plus, it's a 1-year vet minimum. It's like, what could go wrong?
that's what we should have done. We should have got him at the trade deadline last year.
Yeah.
But hey, we'll take him now. Especially if Doc loved him. Oh, he also said in the comments that, yeah, Doc told me if I was here last year, it would have been different. It's like,
Yep.
oh, okay, Doc. We were one Pat Bev away from getting over the hump. Like, dude, get out of here.
Now, hopefully, we're one Nick Nurse away from getting over that hump.
One other piece of Sixers topic. Joe, you put in a post up here. Everybody's favorite chat GPT, which is like everybody uses to do their homework nowadays. You put in there top 10 Sixers of all time, and Mr. Joel Embiid did not make the list.
He did not.
So chat GPT, is it BS or is it telling us something we're all missing?
I was looking at some of the comments from people, and they're like, "Oh, well, aren't all those names there that are hanging in the rafters? So yeah, blah blah blah." And then people were saying, "Oh, he's he doesn't show up in the playoffs. Let him get to an Eastern Conference Finals first before we even think about it." And I get it, but when I'm looking at that list and I see Dolph Shays, who the hell is that?
Dude, Dolph Shays was good though in his year, in his time.
I get it, and I understand that there are a lot of. I mean, even
Embiid's better than Dolph. Better player, but it's hard to compare eras. That's the problem.
And I agree with that.
I think ChatGPT looks at the numbers. That's what it is.
I refuse to say that Mo Cheeks was better than Joel Embiid or Bobby Jones or this Dolph Lundgren Shays guys.
See, I like Mo Cheeks.
Well, most of these guys have helped.
I'm not taking anything away from Mo Cheeks.
See,
what I'm saying is Embiid by the end of his career will be in that top 5, in my opinion.
Definitely. Hal Greer's still the leading scorer in Sixers history.
Right. And that's why I'm not. That's why he's not one of the guys named.
And Wilt's only a Sixer for like 1 or 2 years.
Right.
That's not like, and he choked a little bit
Wilt's
too.
a top 4 ever. Wilt's a top 4 ever. Is he a top 4 Sixer? Probably not.
I agree.
So there you go.
People love Wilt because that back then they were Philadelphia. He's a top 10 Philadelphia basketball player, but he was a Warrior.
Yes, he was.
And he was a Laker for some time too. So I think he does have a championship with the Sixers though. So we got to give him that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you look at this list, you got Irving
and Wilt's arguably better than anyone on this list.
Malone,
Cheeks.
These are all Cunningham. They're all part of the championship years. And then you got Iverson, who almost
Billy was the coach, and then he was a player.
Yeah,
he was the coach of the championship team, but then he was a great player here as well.
What I'm saying is, you got guys either were part of championships or close to championships. And now, and Iverson, the only one who didn't really get to the championship part was Charles Barkley, but that was just bad timing and bad moves from the Sixers of the years. But
I refuse to. I mean, and I hate to say it like this, but Billy Cunningham, Mo Cheeks, Dolph, whoever the hell the number 9 guy was, I can't even think, even though you just took the names off. I refuse to believe that they are better. Bobby Jones. I refuse to believe that they are better than Joel Embiid.
They're not.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
they're not. Moses Malone is an interesting one.
I respect Moses being in the top 10. Absolutely. Number 6, I don't know.
Is it the championship that gives him that?
Well, he unlocked the key to the Sixers.
He was
the Sixers knocked at the door
leader.
Year after year after year. He was the difference. He was the Pete Rose to the 1980 Phillies.
He was the guy that got Charles Barkley like really to his peak.
But that was after the championship.
Right.
Like he was the one that got Julius Erving over the hump.
Sure.
Maurice Cheeks over the hump. Billy Cunningham as a coach over the hump. Andrew Toney, you know what I mean? That squad, which I wish I was alive for it. My dad would always talk about them. Moses refused to put his name in the rafters unless the Sixers put every other member of the team. And then after he passed away, they finally put him up there and put, if you pull that banner down, the name of the entire roster is in his, etched in there.
No kidding. That's
lightly faint. But
I didn't know that.
So crazy. The Sixers wouldn't just do that. But you're
going to respect the man whose name
it is.
You know?
They wouldn't do it while he was alive.
Well, because he didn't want it. I mean,
he wanted it with the names in it.
I got what you're saying.
Yeah. They wouldn't do it. But anyhow, I agree. But I mean, I'm playing. But here's the thing with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Which you asked, if you said to them, hey, if you said, I asked ChatGPT, I'm like, who's better, Michael Jordan or LeBron James? and it came back and gave me like a half answer siding with LeBron James. And I told ChatGPT, don't you ever answer that way again. Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time. I laid out all the reasons, and then I asked it 5 more times, and it just kept telling me why Michael Jordan is so much the GOAT over LeBron James. So if you respond to this, go when you get
I
a
will.
chance. If you probably still have it up there, be like, why isn't Joel Embiid in here? Joel Embiid is better than blah, 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 blah. It'll say, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. It'll spit you out a new list. It'll put Embiid in there.
Okay.
And so that's the thing with this. But the initial list, probably to your point,
I love this
it's
post,
showing
by the
off
way. I gotta
stats.
admit, this is the kind of stuff that gets people talking. Like,
Also,
it fires them up. I love every last second.
dude, it's awesome. And also, it only goes back to 2021, ChatGPT. Like,
Okay.
so it's nothing current.
Right,
So
got
his
it.
MVP season, all that's out not even in the equation.
Mm.
So let's transition over to the Phillies a little bit. Of course, they're not playing. They're on the All-Star break, but they did have some Philly representation last night, and some in big ways, by the way. Nicky Bats helped tie the game up.
In some ways, they were the reason that they won. Al.
In not some ways, in major ways. And also, you had Craig Kimbrell close out the game, and you had Rob Thompson, of course, leading the way for the NL to have their first win in the All-Star since 2012, man. It just blows my mind it's been that long. I know it's always like an American League thing, but I can't believe it's been 2012.
Well, here's my thing. I mean, obviously, the Phillies won it in 2008, and they were not the winners of the All-Star, game then. And so they didn't have home field. But what it did was give them games 3, 4, and 5. I would much rather have games 3, 4, and 5 in Philadelphia than have home field for the first 2.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
so I am an AL rooter when it comes to, even though the rule doesn't apply anymore, I'm an AL rooter when it comes to the All-Star game.
It doesn't apply?
No. In my reel I did earlier, I said it. On the borderline, not knowing if it was still there or not. And then some people were like, oh, no, it's not like that anymore.
Yeah,
I was like,
okay.
all right, whatever.
Someone at work told me that today, too. Yeah.
But
I saw somebody
Joe,
posting
I agree with
saying,
you, though.
like, oh, it is like that. And then I posted it. And then people were like, oh, no, they haven't done that in like 3 years. And I was like, all right, whatever.
I agree with you in the sense I would rather have the 3, 4, 5 because
what if you go up 2-1 that you'll probably win it?
Well, you'd think.
I mean, I'm
talking about this shit.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
you think.
Freaking blew it.
But
I agree with you.
But you put a lot of onus on that team because you're going in there. It's the first time you guys are matching up in at least before the playoffs start. It could be even much longer than that. So that's like the feel each other out moment. So that's where you can have a lot of oopsie daisies.
Sure.
And that's why another reason I would have now by the third game. All right, you guys know each other. You've seen each other twice. Now it's on, and now you're home. It gives you that little bit more of advantage.
Dude, I'm just thinking this right now. I've been 08 and the past year.
Yep.
I was at the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
I was at Game 5 in 08, and I was at Game 4, the no hitter this year. I haven't been to a World Series yet where there hasn't been history.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Well, that was when they played the Reds, right?
No,
the
Rays.
No, you're talking about when they had the no hitter.
No, in the World Series.
Oh, in the World Series.
combined
I thought you were talking about-
on the other side.
I thought you were talking about the Roy Halladay.
Oh
one.
no. I'm other team, but it was a combined
Yeah, the
no hitter.
Astros.
Game 4 of the World Series.
Okay. Yeah. No. I mean,
That's
I've
brutal.
been. I've
Especially
been
after the night before.
It is, but in hindsight, it's like, all right, I was at a World Series no hitter.
since 2000.
I don't count them as no hitters.
That's fine.
Well, they do now because there's.
But they do.
Yeah, because there's no.
Listen, if I had to watch them, if I had to watch all 4 of those guys stand up for a picture because of a combined no hitter, I'm gonna. If it's in the record books, whatever.
I hate it.
I'm not a fan of it.
I get so mad about it. Like
no hitters.
Furious. Like McCarthy did it the other day, or someone else did it. And he's like, "Oh, I'm like, shut up, McCarthy!" Like I get so annoyed because it's not even like on the same level. It's a fresh arm, new face, and I don't know. But to your point, it is how they put it in the record book. But it just irks me. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I guess the fact is you're not going to see many one pitcher no hitters these days because they don't let guys go far into the game as they used to. So it's just that's going to be the only
What was
way.
the score that game?
Well,
Was it
Phillies obviously scored nothing.
Yeah.
But I want to say like 4-0.
Yeah, so it makes sense.
That was like
they weren't
game
going to
5?
chance it and blow the small lead.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
What was the game 5? Right.
Game 4.
Game 4.
Did you guys know? And I was thinking about this as Kimbrell kind of scared us there with the 2 runners on. You always see how the current Phillies have the same record or close to every so often
5-0.
as the
Okay.
08 Phillies. You know, they always the guy posts that Foley.
Yeah.
I think his
Yeah,
name is.
yeah.
Well, I think Jack Fritz tweeted it. Did you guys? And I kind of started to semi-root for it. When we won in 08, Brad Lidge was the closer,
Mhm.
and he blew the save in
That's
the
true.
ninth.
Yeah.
And he's like, Fritz is like, just blow this,
Yeah, I
baby.
saw
Like,
him. I
keep
saw him say,
keep the
yeah.
thing going. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm watching it with my daughter. So I'm half like rooting for her because she's all excited, like the Phillies are going to win this thing for the National League. Because I explained it to her. And
Yeah.
she didn't understand the NLAL. And like, it's really cool. She just started playing softball. And it's like at that age when she's starting to learn, watching home run derby. Anyhow, you know, a part of me was like, oh, dude, is this like history repeat itself? Should we have them blow this?
Yeah.
But no, but it was cool. That game was competitive.
It was, yeah.
And they cared about winning. The
Yeah.
fans
meant
had a
something.
lot to do with no, it didn't.
What, no 8?
Oh, no, wait. I'm talking about last
Oh,
night.
okay, I'm sorry.
Last night. Yeah. It didn't mean anything. The All-Star game didn't mean anything as far as that goes, but the crowd was into it. They booed the crap out of the Astros. They hate the Astros. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Julio Rodriguez, they were going nuts for him.
Yeah.
And they were into it. And I think that might have
I
made it.
really wanted Kimbrel to get that strikeout on Rodriguez.
Wait,
so.
didn't
Yeah,
Seattle?
I really
Seattle
did.
lost to. Or did they lose? Wait. Seattle was in the playoffs last year.
Yeah,
And they lost to either the Astros. Then they played the Yankees and swept the Yankees, right?
Well,
They
they
didn't
lose to
lose
the
a game
Astros
at
'cause
all
the
until they
Astros
got
beat
to-
us in the World Series.
Yeah.
But
No, but I'm saying
I think they played the Astros in that 20 inning game.
Oh yeah, I forgot
It
about
went
that
like
one.
20 innings
It
and
was
they
like
lost
1-0.
1-0.
Yeah,
And otherwise,
because they didn't win a game at all. I mean, they didn't lose a game until they played Philly in the World Series. They swept
Yeah,
the
Astros.
playoffs.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, that's
yeah.
right.
Oh, that's okay. I understand what you're saying there. I
Mhm.
thought you were saying the other way. But to your point, the Phillies won it, dude. Like Topper, Castellanos. So I tweeted right before it was like I was doing the batting order, and I'm like, okay, you got Soto, Alonso, Castellanos here. There was one out, and I'm thinking, all right. And I think it was like 5 of them. I'm like, dude, this is setting up for a Castellanos big at bat. And then Soto chokes National or a Padre now. And then Alonso chokes, and then he doesn't get the bat. But then the next inning, he goes 3-0,
He just walked, right?
battles, and then he walked,
Yeah.
and then ends up being the tying run. Or no, was it the next inning? I forget how
It was a
ever
wild
worked out.
pitch moved him to second.
Right.
No, the guy hit the 2-run homer. Yeah. And he ends up being the tying run. And then Topper makes great moves. What was the move everyone's talking about with him? I forget specifically.
Well,
the one move he
I
made.
saw your
They should
tweet
fire him.
and I turned the game back on. I had switched to something else and then I forgot to go back, after the commercial or whatever. I saw your tweet and I was like, oh shit, I got to get back. And then I saw the rest of it. So thank you for that tweet.
Yeah.
See that Major League Baseball? EoP brought EoP to the table.
But it was like, and maybe it's because I have kids, but like, and watching it, but I felt like I was watching it with my dad again. Like
It's cool.
Even the home run derby, it felt like because it was like Guerrero and then like his dad played when I was there, and then Bichette was there, and I was explaining to her like Dante Bichette on the Rockies, and it felt like the stardom was back for the first time in a long time.
A lot of people were complaining about that too. That like not a lot of the bigger name players made the All-Star team, i.e. Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, and some of these other bigger names. But it just shows the movement of the MLB and how it's starting to flip over to the new youth movement. And these guys are playing. Like there are a lot of players right now whose fathers have played before them in the league. It's pretty remarkable right now.
And it
And
brings
Vlad won
juice.
the home run derby
Yes.
16 years after his dad won it. So I mean that's pretty cool.
And he beats Rodriguez comes in the first round, and like I hate it, like
Murdered
him like 40 home
Murdered.
runs, and it was awesome because Alonso's like such a dork about the
I
home run
know.
derby. Like if you saw him last
Was he
year
working out
interviewing
again?
him, like
Was
he's
he
like
working out again?
Well, like doing
he
push-ups
acts
and
like it's
stuff.
the world.
I
Yeah,
think he might have.
he's such
No,
a
was he like
dork.
lifting weights?
I didn't see that
he
part.
was in the back, like not this year, last year.
Oh,
Wasn't he in the
okay.
back, like bench pressing? and
Yeah.
stuff?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Last year,
Yeah.
and he's like acting like it's like, yeah, dude, stop. This is the home run derby.
You're a nerd,
Like,
bro.
But I got to give Pete Alonso some credit because I read this earlier. Apparently, all the balls that were in his bin for his pitcher when he went up, he signed every single one of them. For every home run that he hit, the person who caught it had an autographed ball from him. So I think that's
they
pretty
all should
cool.
be doing that. Yeah, you're
Right. but he was the only one that did
It's
it.
cool, but I wouldn't.
So I think
answer
that's
it.
cool. Fuck you.
I know.
Sorry,
I know.
I used the F word.
Yeah,
No, you would not.
I know, but still,
Um,
I hate PLF.
I'm
yeah.
not a fan either, but,
But
I'm selling the ball.
Yeah.
The way they announced them, and the Seattle crowd shout out to them, like they made it too.
Yeah, it was
know what I mean?
cool.
'Cause you go to these other ballparks and they're not into it. It doesn't make it like that. Like the home runs was like,
Yeah.
like they were like rooting and they were into it.
It
And
got me excited for 2026 where it's here.
Yep.
yes,
Yeah.
Speaking of the
bicentennial.
nostalgia, because that would be what 30 years since it was here last.
Well, it's the
1996.
anniversary of the centennial, so yeah.
Yeah, because
I
they
would say like 75 years or something. Nah,
well, no. I'm saying because the last time I was here was in 1996,
right. Yeah.
and I actually have a ticket from that. I have it in my.
So do I. In
But
my living room.
unfortunately, it was not my ticket.
Me too. I don't
Me
know
either.
mine
It was my
either.
father-in-law.
Yeah, none of mine.
It was.
I got
my
a baseball from
sister's.
the game.
I have you. Oh, I remember yours.
I was so mad, dude.
yeah.
They gave it to my sister. Now, granted, in '96,
remember that.
I was 13 years old, and I'm like just like really getting into baseball.
How old was your sister?
She
Like
would have been
17,
19.
18.
She would have been 19 years old.
Was
She's
she into
6 years-
baseball?
No.
Oh, that's bullcrap.
Yeah,
It should have
dude.
went to you. It should have went to
I
you.
remember you had the
13 years
stand.
old. It's a kid's game.
Yeah.
Who did this? Your dad?
It was
Your uncle?
I forget who gave. No, it wasn't a family member. Trust me. If it was a family member, they'd be disowned.
That's
Oh,
funny.
all right.
That's
Well, that's
funny. We
different.
all
That's
have.
different.
We all have it.
Well,
I have it in
and
my
it's-
living room,
And it's
hanging right now.
funny you bring it up
Sitting in
because
my Phillies corner in my basement.
if you go to the game and you know how they have the memorabilia counters like in the back behind the concession stands,
Yeah.
they sell those tickets like and you could buy for like $40. I'm like,
I got no G.
I was gonna say why
I wasn't there, but I got
I
one.
know.
So,
Oh man, I was so yeah, it's still on my brain.
so the
My
tweet,
sister's a dork. Why does she have to go?
dude, if she was into baseball, I'd be like, oh, that's cool for her. But
She
the
played
fact that she's
softball
not,
one
like,
year.
she probably didn't pay attention. That's so annoying. They did. Someone tweeted out the 1996 introductions actually, and I was watching it. I think it was that Foley guy again. He's a good follow, whatever it is.
Yeah,
Foley,
yeah, I follow
Foley or
him.
whatever. He's constantly tweeting cool stuff like that, and they did the announcements, and that time it was a passing of the youth to the old as well. It was like Mark McGuire, and then Ken Griffey Jr. and Barry Bonds, and then I got trivia for you here. What Hall of Fame third baseman had his first All-Star game at the vet?
Scott Rowland.
Nope. That day. Scott Rowland, is he in the Hall of Fame? Oh my God. He shouldn't be in the Hall of
First
Fame.
All-Star game. Third
Let me
baseman.
rephrase this, because since the Hall of Fame is so watered down now, one of the greatest players in MLB history, third baseman.
Wade Boggs.
I guess
That wouldn't be his first in
yeah, I was going to
1996.
say. I'm
Yeah,
trying
that's
to think.
true.
96 being their first. That means they're probably around what 25, 26 years old. So, well, I mean,
They're
let's say-
young.
yeah, that's what I'm trying. Who was that young in 96?
I'll give you a hint.
It's not.
Ken Griffey already
No.
played.
Yeah, no, I know. That's what I'm
He
saying.
was a center fielder.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It was. I'm trying to think.
Too.
Yeah.
All right. I'll give you a hint. You're warm by saying Ken Griffey Jr.
You play with him? Trying to think. Why am I
Mark Brewer.
Oh, yeah.
Brunel.
Jay Buhner, is that what you're
Jay
thinking
Bruner.
of?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking
No,
of.
he ain't one of the greatest third basemen ever to play.
Why,
He's a
why
left
am I
fielder.
completely?
Guys, you guys got to be kidding me. You don't know who this guy is.
Well, if we're close, then
If
he
you
was a
for-
Mariner.
Yes. Yeah, but you're only close because I told you.
No shit.
I'm blanking.
But
out.
it doesn't mean he finished his career as a Mariner.
No, you're right. That's what I'm trying to think. Like,
He also played shortstop.
I help him.
You guys are killing me.
I really don't know.
He was a Texas Ranger. Then he was a New York Yankee.
Cheater.
Derek Jeter.
He
A-Rod.
crushed
A-Rod.
A-Rod. It's A-Rod.
A-Rod.
But to watch
Yeah,
him,
what's the Rangers?
How are we close with Ken Griffey Jr. if it's
Mariner.
A-Rod?
Because they're both Mariners. He was a Mariner.
What? A second?
And that's
for
the
like
thing
his
is-
whole youth career.
That's
Do
actually
you remember that squad?
I actually don't.
It was Jay Buhner, Ken Griffey Jr., Edgar Martinez, Tino Martinez, Dan Wilson. I actually love that squad.
funny
Joey
thing is-
Cora, and then A-Rod was his first All-Star game, 1996.
the funny thing is, what really threw me off was the Mariner because I think of A-Rod, I think of pretty much the Rangers, and the Yankees. I completely forget about that part.
See, I loved Ken Griffey Jr., so I loved.
that guy right there.
And you
big
should have known too. But that team was my squad because the Phillies sucked. I rooted for
We
the Phillies.
burnt that
And when they
Super
beat the
Nintendo
Yankees,
cartridge
Randy
out.
Johnson.
He's talking about Ken Griffey of the game, though.
No. But you're a big Ken Griffey Jr.
I
fan
was.
too.
Oh yeah,
But I'm saying
absolutely.
we burnt that game out because we love that so
Yeah,
much.
I love the game, and you know what? One of my favorite things, I love that his batting stance was so different. So
Yeah.
when you get up and play wiffle ball, like you're there, you're doing the bat wiggle and all that.
Yeah.
Like, that was cool.
And
Dude,
the-
it was the best.
and
And,
it was-
when you practice,
Oh, and
like,
plus
as a
he
kid,
murdered everything too.
and the,
dude, he was the only one that didn't do steroids.
Yeah.
And that's why they went there, and he kind of just leveled off.
He's like getting back into the game right now too.
He had a great career.
He
Ryan
really
Howard
did.
was playing soft, but that
Pickleball.
stance,
he's a big
I
pickleball
can do
guy.
it right now. That stance was what, like, you practiced for 10 home run, like bottom of the ninth, and then Stuart Scott. That's where that call came from. Cool as the other side of the pillow was from that Griffey home run, and I
Okay.
remember it on mornings all the time.
I
And,
like seeing the videos they keep every so often. You see that when him and his dad were together.
Oh yeah.
Like his dad's like yelling at him. Like he would tell the story of his dad. Like
they played together too.
yeah, he played together, and he was like, and he kind of didn't hustle or something, and he benched him. His dad like benched him during the game. Can you
Yeah, I heard that
imagine
story.
Gotta do what you
It's
gotta
pretty
do.
crazy. But yeah, Joe. I mean that it coming to Philly, it's really cool. Like I can't wait because All-Star games have like kind of really like. I mean, forget about the NFL one. Just is what it is. It's just pretty much a skills challenge. All of them are now anymore. Even the NBA one, it's just it's ever since they let who was it? It was a guy who retired and they like let him score like 100 points in the All-Star game for the NBA. Was it Kobe when he retired? I'm trying to remember.
Kobe ain't putting up with that.
I'm trying to some of this were just in the last like I don't know.
What do you mean? Let them score like Kobe? They
Like
I
they
mean,
was like
they
an
did it
All-Star
with- they
game
did
and
it-
he scored like 80 points because nobody played any defense on him on purpose.
Vince Carter, maybe.
Nah, man.
No, I don't think. I think you're talking about Kobe's last game, and they played defense on him,
No.
and he was dropping jump shots too. So it's not even if they
On,
weren't
on the Sixers? Oh yeah, he killed the Sixers his
No, no.
last game in Philly.
in Philly, but that was the first. That was the first game after he announced his retirement. His
Right, yeah,
final game
right.
was at the Staples Center.
Rightfully so.
But he dropped 64, and
Yeah.
it was like
Yeah, I remember
it was
that.
like magical. Like I stayed
Yeah.
up for it. I remember being like, wow. But as far as All-Star game, I don't remember that. I know Jordan.
the
they,
most
they
is-
kept they gave Jordan the last shot a couple times as the Wizard, and he nailed it. Didn't really guard him.
I'm just trying to remember who it was. Like this, it's just like you're watching a game and they're not playing defense. But I'm saying of all the All-Star games, baseball's still one of the better ones because it can be competitive and people aren't worried about getting hurt as much. And it's not
Right.
just a skills challenge because the home run derby is that, and then that's the game. I mean, All-Star games in general aren't as fascinating to me as they used to be. But
me too.
but of all the major sports, baseball's still one of the top ones. I gotta say that.
I think this year it was. I think they were having issues too, and even with the home run derby, and people were complaining about the speed clock or whatever on the home run derby.
Mhm.
So when my friends are crushing it, but I thought it was good. It was fast. People paid attention.
Oh,
It was-
did they?
it was-
I
it
didn't
was-
even notice that.
Well, there's a 3-minute timer now, and you
Oh,
hit as
okay.
many as you can. In 3 minutes, you get extended time. And what the heck? The extended timer and anyway, people were complaining about it. I thought it was awesome this year, but it has been falling off.
Yeah. And one last piece of information I want to mention that during this time it was the draft.
Yeah.
So
Great pickup here.
yeah, they got a nice pickup here, but apparently Philly, or I mean, he's a Philly sports fan and an Eagles fan because he tweeted out right, I guess after they beat the Niners,
Right.
Go Birds. So it was meant to be.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's one of the things you look at. Like, I saw it and I was like, well, you could be talking about any team that has a bird. But then I looked at the date. I was like, oh, yeah, that's Super Bowl.
Yeah,
time.
Aiden Miller. And
Absolutely.
I don't know if he added it in there now or not. If you look on his Twitter profile, I think it said Philly sports fan or something like that. I don't know if
okay.
he just added it or if it was already there.
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, third baseman / shortstop. I mean, this kid hits for power. I like him. I like the signing or the draft. Sorry.
I remember watching the draft, and I have no idea who this guy is. All I know is,
You never know.
from what you just told me, I know you pay attention to a little bit, but what the guy was saying is this guy was like top 13 in the
Yeah.
MLB's 250, and we
Yeah.
got him at 27. I was like, dude, like, is this a Tyrese Maxey? Like, how do these guys fall?
I don't know. I think a lot of it does have to do with the fact that they're in high school, and some of these other teams who who aren't making the World Series like the Phillies did last year. I mean, they're looking for more of these guys who are ready for single, double, triple A ball where they can just jump right into it. I mean, I think there was only 4 or 5 players selected out of high school, which from what I heard is a lot for a first round. And one of them was McGonigal out of Bonner. He went to the Detroit Tigers, which is great. Selection number 37, and he out of high school.
He was third. Like, so the best available was this guy.
Yeah,
and he was third. So part of me being a Bonner guy, part of me was rooting for it. But then once they said the guy was top 13 at 20, I'm like, screw the Bonner guy. Like, he's also Darby. Like, he has Darby ties back to, like, he's all in McGonigal, like BBM.
Oh, he's the second Bonner guy. What's his you playing for the Phillies now? Another Bonner guy. But he's down in AAA now. Or is he
yeah. Don't he got his autograph on a hat somewhere?
It's on a hat up there.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's it's good. The local guy do awesome, and apparently he's very good.
Yes.
But the other thing I think about, MLB draft means first part 9 times out of 10, you're not seeing these guys for like 4 or 5 years easily.
Oh, right.
And then on top of it, how often do these guys move around? I mean, they're trade pieces. They move around prospects. How many times do you get a guy like you didn't know?
Probably once.
You what?
Probably one time.
What?
If they're a high prospect, I'd say it's a one-time trade, unless he's a low-level guy and just thrown around, I guess. But like if he's what he's cracked up to be, he'll be like a high-level guy.
Yeah.
It's typically a team rebuilding will give away their star, move the guy in, and he's coming up in a year or two.
Maybe really the only thing you have to worry about, not even worry about, is he would have to be probably the third baseman if he were to come up in the next 5 years, because you have Trey Turner for 10 years. So he'll be shortstop, and I guess by that time you'll have Bohm over at first.
Of course, he'll be a center fielder or a catcher by then. I mean, the way
that is true.
Him around.
Arenado rumors are starting to, and Bohm would be in the deal. He has to be.
I think I'm good with it. I think I'm pretty good with it.
I mean, how do you not at that point? Man?
It's so tough because I love what Bohm did.
Yeah,
me too.
And I like the
that would be
and
tough.
I loved it. Like going back to the homegrown guys. I mean, 08. I mean,
of course.
Look at that. I mean, how many guys are homegrown? How often we get to say that they are anymore?
Right, and the two that we were talking about mainly with Alec Bohm was Spencer Howard. I don't even think Spencer Howard's in the league anymore. I think he pitched like it's a crazy stat that I saw the other day. It was 0.1 of an inning, 1 out. His ERA is like 47. Like it was like the worst outing ever. And it was Spencer Howard. And it was, thank God they traded him away. And you know what?
He's been a quitter. He was showing signs of being a quitter.
Absolutely.
And that's why they moved him.
Absolutely. And I think another one, and I don't even know why I'm really going back to this, but you look at the number 1 pitching prospect we had years ago that we were so coveted of is Sixto Sanchez. And we know that he went to the Marlins and he was doing good, but where is he now? And we still got JT on now on another contract, and he's still the best catcher in baseball. So, I mean, if we're talking about trading Alec Bohm for Arenado, I mean, maybe that's just a move you have to make.
Everybody's talking about how Mickey Moniak's doing just so awesome right now. I'm like, all right, guys, chill out. Like,
he's playing all right.
Playing all right. Guys, remember this show is brought to you by Sherry's Ticket Town or Sherry'sTickets.com. Sports, concert, theaters, you name it. They got it. No hidden fees. 10% off by using that great promo code EOP10. Jump on to PhilliesSportsTrips.com. Their next trip coming up, San Diego. Head out, go to Petco Park, watch the Phillies take on the Padres. Grab one of those great away games for the Eagles. Whatever it is, they got trips lined up galore. Go to PhilliesSportsTrips.com before they sell out. And don't forget, CherryInjuryLaw.com or go to call Dave Terry at 610-565-0300. Workers' comp, motor vehicle, personal injury, criminal law, you name it, he's got it. He will take care of you. He will fight for your rights. Other than that, I'm Big Al.
And I'm Joey Sheeran.
I'm Freddie Burns.
And we out.
There's one thing I want you to do for me.